And on today's story, we have Mama's Cold.
How are you guys?
I'm good, thanks.
Why did you stutter?
I know. I bet she couldn't believe that once again we had said hello before she did. Well, not hello, but asked her how she is.
No, my throat was a bit itchy and I didn't want to cough.
Like when you're putting your kid to sleep and you prefer to choke than wake them up.
Oh my God, or you need to sneeze.
Or when you're in the car with your friend and you're choking and she's telling you a really long story and you're there like... just talking from experience.
Oh my God. You know the day we came back from the zoo? Fish was next to me and I don't know what story I was telling her and I was lost in it and I was like, yeah, and then this happened. And she was like...
I was literally like...
And she started tapping me and she was like, can I have some water?
And the thing is, like, I was holding Maya because she was sleeping. And you know when they fall asleep awkwardly and I didn't know how to tap her, but I was just like, ayúdame.
Mama's Code.
Right, guys, let's kick this episode off.
I'm Jess.
I'm Erica.
And I'm Melissa. Welcome back to another episode, guys. Today, we wanted to really talk about relationships with in-laws and whether or not sometimes we would consider our relationships as lucky dips.
That's interesting.
And the reason why we said that is because actually we put out a poll on the Instagram of episodes people wanted to hear. What happened?
On the Instagram.
She's so fresh.
Oh God.
On the Instagram. Can we cut that? That sounds like I'm 40.
And the thing is, you're talking so slow. You're like, yes, on the Instagram. Like, are you on Magic FM? Like, are you on Magic
Boris
FM?
Johnson, go out, come back in.
Stop. It's been a very long day, man. Just give me a break. So, guys, are in-laws like lucky dips?
From the stories we've heard, it's kind of like you think you got it bad, but then you hear other people's and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. So let's give a bit of context, because obviously there was a poll put out on Instagram. Sorry. The girls are making me laugh. Poll put out on Instagram and about what topics you guys wanted to hear, and one of them were relationships with in-laws. So we then put out the question of kind of share your stories, and all of the stories that we do have are kept anonymous
for obvious reasons. We don't want families to break up.
Can I just say, our stories may also be anonymously put in there somewhere.
Yeah, try to guess which one's ours.
No, we have to keep it civil, guys.
Because we don't like mums.
Can I also say, I think maybe in a way we're a little bit nervous because it isn't an easy topic, and also these are just our own personal views and things that people have sent in to us. So, no offense out there.
It's not that we want to offend anyone, and I think from the poll that we put out, we just kind of wanted to share with people, because like when we were reading them, and we've obviously had our ups and downs with our in-laws, we kind of read the stories we got sent and we're kind of like thrown back, because we're like, oh wow, imagine that happened to us. So that's the convo we kind of want to get going. Maybe try to put ourselves in their shoes
in
some of the stories,
in both scenarios.
in some of the stories, and kind of see what us three would do. But we're not here to judge. At the end of the day, becoming a parent is developmental milestone most of us go through. And like I said before, to the girls, it's our parents and our in-laws still see us as this kid, basically. And I think as well as we and I can't remember what I was going to say.
Guys, do you know what? Let's get into it, and then we'll come back to the positive side.
Yeah.
And do you know what? This is just for bands. So I'm gonna hit you with this one. Posting everything I send to her on social media of my children.
Oh God.
Like, I'm gonna say something. I'm a person that I don't like my child being on social media, like pictures of his face, just because I feel like at this moment his face is so precious to me. I just want to keep that to myself. You know, if you've said you don't want it, then why? I mean, I don't know if this person has made that clear, but
or like, I mean, I understand the whole aspect like in that, because I would get annoyed if I made it clear that, you know, I don't want my child on social media. But also, everything I send you doesn't necessarily have to go on social media. Me as a parent, I should make the decision on what I put up and what I don't. Me sending you a picture does not give you the right to post everything. I'm sharing it with you personally. If I'm sharing it to you via WhatsApp, it's a, you know, end-to-end encryption. Like, there's no coming out of there. Why do you have to then take the picture elsewhere? It just doesn't make sense. But if you look at it from a mother-in-law perspective or father-in-law perspective, you know, they're just really happy with their kids. So, you know, they might just be very proud and just want to share it with all their friends.
Or what about if their social media is just really surrounded by family, or they're really close-knit friends, as opposed to having I don't know, hundreds of followers or whatever of people that, you know, because let's be real,
the older generation wouldn't really follow.
Exactly. So maybe they're just keeping it to their own, that is their private clique, let's say.
I think for the older generation as well, it's kind of like, you know, when you know, like mums and dads, like they post like really close selfies. Sometimes they just post like half of their mouth and then the rest of their face, and I don't think a person would do that intentionally. Like, if you knew how stupid you look posting this up, I doubt you do it. So I think for the most part the common sense isn't really there.
All I can think about is my mum's self.
Literally, when my parents go on holiday and they send me pictures and all I can see is my mum's double chin, like, and they're like posing with like a towel somewhere, and I can't even see the towel. I can just see their two big heads in the picture.
But you don't want to break their heart, so you said the picture's nice, and then they're like, "Oh, do you remember that picture I sent you?" And like, "What picture? You never sent me anything."
Or like, "Did you like the towel? Where was it?" All I saw was two heads.
The other day, my mum went to Margaret Beach. Someone tell me, where is this beach? She posted a picture on her, you know, them WhatsApp stories, a selfie with the title
Toco Playa. La Playa Margaret.
Today we had to go to Margaret Beach, and I'm like, "Mum, it's Margate." And I said it to Chris, and I was like, "Please, I think I don't know. I love her, but I just don't know sometimes."
And again, it was a close-up selfie, like, you know, like us, like we're young and shit, and we don't like close-up selfies because we're like, you know, you might see the odd wrinkle here and there. Nah, she went full on force. Like, we could see like the black bit inside your pupil, literally. Yeah, so again, it's kind of that, like, they might have it like a canvas for them, you know, like their closest circle. And let's be real, like when we were young, we would post, you know, taking pictures of like of our food and shit. So it kind of depends. Like, I don't think sometimes they do it in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I think here it's, again, we need to communicate what it is, what's acceptable and what's not. So if this is something that's bothering you, then obviously you need to
raise it.
Whether it's you talk it to your partner about it and kind of raise it with them. If you can't really have that close relationship with your mother-in-law and you can't tell them, then just speak to your partner, and I'm sure they can.
Or just report your mother-in-law, your father. just report their profile.
Are you trying to say something to us?
just report their profiles, and that's it. No, problem solved. Right, next one.
When your mother-in-law seems to be in competition, I'm your wife, you're the mum. There's no need.
That one came up quite a bit, didn't it?
It did, yes.
Ooh.
And it's actually interesting because you would think that your mum will always be your mum, right? And that type of relationship and what you have is completely different to that of you and your partner.
Yeah.
It's definitely a very common one, but let me put it to you this way. Your daughter comes home with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
You're going to feel some type of way, right? Or maybe Dan, because obviously, like, he's that the same sex of the person that your daughter's with. So he's going to be like, all right, my daughter's now giving him the hugs, giving him the kisses, giving him her attention. And so obviously he's going to feel he's going to feel jealous.
But it's the circle of life, you know. Our parents left their parents. And I mean, like, it's really hard. And I can see it from both points of views, because as a wife myself, there is no need for competition, because your son will always love you.
Yeah.
And have a different type of love to the love that I'm going to have, you know.
It's a different relationship.
Just because he's sucking my titties now doesn't mean he loves you any less. You know, yes, you were first in his life, and no one's going to take that place from you.
Yeah.
But I think there's a boundary, because...
Sorry, I can't. How did you just drop that? I actually can't.
Because, you know that meme that it says, you know, why do men look so at peace when they're sucking titties? And it's just that. It's kind of like their safe place. You know, when they say, like, the mother and the baby form a bond. Yeah. But I can see it from, like, being a mum from boys. I kind of, like, I obviously don't want to go too deep into when they leave my house, but I'll feel sad.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be like, you know, like everything I've lived with them, and then now all of a sudden some next hole has come to take my child away from me.
I was going to say, what if, you know, that person that your son or your daughter brings home, you know, you get good vibes with them and they seem to be genuine, because that's another thing. When you find someone again, it's like a lucky dip again, isn't it? Because you're in that honeymoon stage and it's all amazing, it's all great, but then sometimes in life things can just go a bit tits up. And then I guess I'm not there yet, and I've always said I don't like to think of when Maya's bringing a boy home or when Maya's in a relationship, because I don't know, I don't want to put anything out there and then it just falls back on me. But yeah, I think as a parent you just want your child to be with someone that respects them, that they love each other mutually, and then I guess when you see that in that person, you know that there isn't any bad intention, so then they're not there to take your place, or they're not there to take your child or your son, your daughter away from you. They're just there to love them, let's say.
Do you know what I was going to say? That sometimes as well it depends, like, the relationship that your partner has with their mom, because say if your partner is forever just spending time with you, as a mom you're going to feel pushed away, or you're going to feel like he prefers this new woman that came in.
Or if you're a single mom, what if it's just always been you and him together all the time?
Exactly.
And then llega otra persona and you're alone.
Exactly. So it's like you're going to feel pushed away, you're going to feel like, okay, I don't matter anymore, and, you know, like, probably not appreciated as much as you feel you deserve to be appreciated.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, it's a hard one. I can see both points of views, because, you know, we've all kind of felt it some way. But as a parent, you know, it's hard. Whichever situation you look at, it is hard. But again, I just think it's communication and trying to, you know, you're in this person's life now. And just when you have a kid, and if you were to get in a relationship with someone else, you have baggage. It's the same with the man you're marrying or the person you're in a partnership with. This person also has baggage because his mum comes included, because now you're a family. Sometimes just look past it, you know. As women, we do sometimes, as a mum, you are very protective over your child when they're small. So imagine when they're bigger, and like you said, Fish, you want a person that loves your child, but we're all in a relationship. We've all been in long-term relationships and we've had ups and downs. What if your mum was to see this? Your mum is automatically going to hold a grudge.
Yeah.
That's why they always say, when you have a problem with your husband, wife, whatever, do never tell your mum, because you will get over it. Your parent won't. Next question.
Why is everything a competition with the other grandparents?
This may or may not be from me. Again, I don't know. I think this is also, I've seen it in several households, that it's they feel like they need to compete and show more to kind of show you that they love the child or they're the best side. Sometimes it does feel like that. And it's like, how do you see past it? Like, how do you...
But competition, how?
So, say, for example, if, I don't know, say like Christmas, if one side of the family brings one gift and the other side of the family bring 100 gifts.
I saw this in a party the other day.
Yes, it happens in every household.
The grandma kept saying, "Oh, who got you that?"
And obviously the name was on.
Like, "Yep, that's me."
It's
I was just looking at her like, and I remember looking at Fish like, you know, that woman just keeps saying she got him that gift.
But yeah, exactly. So it's like, why? What is the need?
Yeah.
And I've said this to you guys many times, where, you know, whether it's your friends, whether it's your family, it's like, it's not about the materialistic side of things. It's about the actual, you know, like Mel was saying, the love that is shown to your child and as your family. Not like, oh, I bought you 100 gifts, so I'm going to be the best person.
The person's not going to remember really the gifts. It's the time spent. You know, if the less time you spend with your grandchild, the more that emotional attachment won't be there.
And also, it's something to remember that the child is a child, so they don't know this. They only see whoever's giving them the attention. So to expect, let's say, for example, a child to know that they need to bond with this person, because they don't understand the value right now of family. Like, we're just mum, dad, auntie, nana, whatever, by just some, you know, that's how they refer to us.
And kids are really good at reading energy as well. Yeah.
So, you know, I think if you're dedicating as a grandparent the time with this child to play with them, to read with them, and sometimes it can be boring and repetitive, and it's not even as a grandparent, as a parent as well, it can be a bit repetitive or boring, and songs may get up your backside because you're so annoyed of singing it or jumping on the bed or whatever the case is, but that's what's fun for your child at that moment, and they're creating that bond, and that's their fun for them.
You can also see it in the point of view where the child can also become accustomed to always asking that specific grandparent for toys. So they always, and it's kind of like bought love, you know, like the previous episode where we had, where it's like the grandparent knows they're kind of like not there all the time, so they think every time they have to bring something to show the love that they haven't been given, if that makes sense.
How would you even communicate that with that person if you were to literally be like, not in a rude way, but say, look, thank you for this, but my child really doesn't need it? Like, would you say, I would appreciate if you bonded more with the child? Or
it's really hard, Fish, because it depends of the people. Like, you have grandparents, and we like, we're all on the same boat here. We have family members, and us ourselves, we work constantly, you know, we're living in a fast-paced world where, you know, we wake up, we go to work, we come back home, we go to sleep, and it's like a repetitive thing. It's very hard for us to kind of like tell certain people, you know, don't bring my child gifts. If you want to show them affection, then come and see them, because we don't know what situation they're living at the moment. And again, it's you kind of enforcing it on them. That shouldn't, well, no le deben hacer estar con esa persona. Not me telling you, no, well, you need to come and see your grandchild. Again, you shouldn't even allow your children, like, you shouldn't. I've seen that thing where it's kind of like, you know, you can't force your kids to hug someone. So you know, when like a person, like your child hasn't seen a person for a very long time, and they don't want to hug or kiss a person, and you kind of like, go kiss it. You shouldn't.
And it could just be take a 5-minute thing, or let me just settle in and be like, oh, okay, you know.
Exactly.
But what if it's between the grandparents, taking the child out of the equation?
I think it's communication as well. Yeah, I think it's communication. I think you just kind of like need to sit them down and punch them in the face.
Is this the communication? But what if it's their way of showing their love?
They need to go back at their mum's vagina and learn again, because that's a stupid way of showing love.
Like, imagine that, like, the same way we were talking about the pictures on social media, that they're just so proud and they just want to show the love that way. Like, what if it's that situation?
Well, I mean, my parents buy my kids so much shit. Like, I was telling Moo, like, yesterday, my parents buy them the noisiest toys ever, and like they expect me to bring them home with me. You're right, mate. No, I'm not bringing that home. And like, I mean, it's just a way, like, and we tell them. I remember for Christmas once, my parents, have you seen the size of Joel's room? My parents got him like a huge bike, and I was like, and where am I going to put that? And he was like, I don't know, just, they got him a surfing board. When are we going to go surfing?
I remember that, yeah.
When has he used it? They were like, oh, maybe for the snow. When does it snow in England?
I remember asking Chris, what did Jojo get for Christmas? He got a sledge board. Like, when does it even snow that
exactly
deep here?
And my dad was like, oh, maybe you can use it in the sea. Really? I'm going to tell my 5-year-old to go in the sea in a surfboard? No, it's stupidity. But like you say, Moo, it's a way of them showing that they can give us stuff, and maybe a reflection of what they didn't have growing up.
That's a good point.
You know, their parents couldn't give them stuff, or they couldn't give their children everything. So now that they have their grandchildren, as you know, everyone says, grandparents always love their grandchildren more. They want to give them everything and spoil them rotten, which is okay. I mean, that's what grandparents are for.
I think my mother-in-law did witchcraft on me. I found a voodoo doll. Oh, guys.
At that moment.
I can't.
Whoa.
Wow, guys.
Jesus. And just when you thought we had it wrong,
I
bad.
know. You guys know I'm into like crystals and all that. The way I will lay on the floor and protect myself with my crystals.
I will burn this woman with sage so she can have some nice vibes to her.
So she said that she found this voodoo doll and a picture of herself under the mattress
and a little book
in the lady's house. All right, so my first question is, what do you do in that moment?
Run.
Do you go and confront her?
I would confront her.
Would you not be scared? Imagine she's she's like, maybe she's a witch.
She doesn't have magical powers. She's not Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like going, Wingardium Leviosa. No, mate. She's obviously has to pray something.
But how have we gone from Sabrina to Harry Potter?
I don't know. Like, it's a mixture of the both. I like them both.
Look, I'm telling you, there's some people that are not good vibes around it out there.
I'll just go and tell her if she can remove some stuffing from my belly.
Oh my gosh.
I'm joking. No, on a serious note, I would confront her. I'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
I'd be nervous too.
Would you let your child around this person?
I wouldn't.
Even if it's your husband's mum?
No, I wouldn't.
Why would you do that?
I wouldn't, because it's a toxic person.
What if she goes and does voodoo on the whole family and your child?
What? No, but what this is the thing. Like, I'm an overthinker. So I've already seen that she's got a picture of me. So what if she's done voodoo on me to stay with her son?
Oh my god.
What if I don't want to be with him, but I'm being forced to be with him?
But what if you're having a good time with him?
No, but what if I'm not? I'm just thinking and it's all in the voodoo-ness. It's not with me. And plus, what if she has pictures of my...
But what if the dick is good?
Well, if that's the case, then kudos on her. But I would already think she's doing shit to my children. And I wouldn't ever be able to eat what she makes. Because
I wouldn't be able to breathe the same air.
Because they say, like, I've heard, and I'm so sorry, but this is disgusting. I've heard that some people make their partners drink their...
Shut up. Mm-hmm. Their pee.
Not the pee, but the redness.
Oh, stop
They mix it in drinks, and apparently that makes them stay forever. Why would I want to do that to my boyfriend, please?
Well, I only heard as far as, when you eat and you leave your leftovers, that if you give your leftovers to your partner, they'll love you.
Well, I think that's why Ollie's with me then, because he has my leftovers.
I was just about to say, Dan's always looking at my plate like, ¿Vas a dejar algo? And I'm like,
literally.
So does that mean Ollie's doing witchcraft on me? Because he always asks for my leftovers. No, but on a serious note, what would you guys do?
Well, first of all, I would take pictures for evidence.
Yeah, good point.
Because I'm not going to leave that room. No, I'm not going to leave that room and say these things to my partner and he's now going to look at me like,
you're lying.
My mum would never do that. Yeah, you're lying. So I would take pictures and show him, and you need to sort out your mum.
What if your partner says, So what?
I'm leaving you too.
Or imagine they turn around and said, I know.
Oh, no, stop.
Caso cerrado, you have to take it to caso cerrado.
And
I
all your
think.
life has been a lie.
Imagine.
No, these are the types of stories you read and you're like, you don't know what to do. You're a bit like, wow.
That's insane. Would you not be scared? Because you know, like, obviously, I'm not into witchcraft or anything, but I don't know if it's like, you know, it's a big thing here. But you know, in Colombia, like, you see it a lot, and like people talk about it, like if it's, you know, un sancocho un viernes. Every time this lady goes to Colombia, I would be shit scared, thinking, oh my god, something's gonna happen.
How
to
do
me.
I know she hasn't gone and paid someone to do something to me or my family?
Or like, this is one picture I found. What if she has like them scattered
Like
around
a
her
secret
house?
loft.
Or a shrine.
Oh, stop. A
Yeah.
shrine.
Oh, a shrine.
It's my brother-in-law.
Shrine.
Imagine.
Foreigner.
No.
That is mind-blowing. I'm so sorry, but if my mother-in-law ever did that to me...
I would be scared. I think I would actually be quite worried. I wouldn't know what to... I think I would probably consult with someone I trust and be like, what do I do?
Let's say that you found this, but you're looking back at your relationship, like you guys have a loving home, your child is good, your partner is good. What would you think she's actually doing with this voodoo doll?
Making me fat.
But why?
Maybe making our relationship good. But even then, why would you want it to be a lie? Because then you will question, has it just been good because of what she's doing?
Yeah.
There's a limit, and I think that's... Yeah, I think I agree with you in that one.
I mean, like, I know we've tried to see the good and the bad. I don't think there is no good to this. Like, there is no excuse to doing that to someone.
I just don't think I could have that person in my life.
Oh, no. 100%.
Would you be able to trust that
How?
person?
I'll be too worried.
Yeah. Wow, this person is good. She has a good relationship with her suegra now. So
Or maybe the voodoo so that they can have a good relationship. Well, yeah, everyone's happy.
But
So.
do you think that's never gonna, like, it will forever linger in the back of your mind?
100%, yeah. Because you're
So
now
how
going to
can you
be
look at
sitting
this
there.
person
Yeah, you're
and-
now
and
going to
not-
sit there and watch them like, what are you doing?
When I had Caden, you know, when I got the sweats, I searched on Google if someone was doing witchcraft to me, because I genuinely thought... and my sister told me to wear my knickers the wrong way around just in case someone was, and I did for like a long time because I thought, shit.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It's like Jessica's papa's under the bed.
Let's move on. Let's move
Yes,
on to another
please.
question.
Mama, I love you.
Negative comments on our decision as parents.
First of all, I think this comes from people, even not just your
Yeah.
in-laws.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Just in
it comes
general.
from everywhere. Secondly, I think it can really affect you because, say, for example, if you're a new parent or even if you've got, you know, other children, I feel like we're constantly doubting ourselves if we're doing things the right way, if I should have done it this way, if I should have done it that way. So having that person question you on it, it adds more doubt to it and more pressure rather than maybe saying, oh, you know, you did a good decision, you made a good decision, or, you know, this is good, or kind of highlighting the good things that you've done as a parent.
I agree. Like, I mean, I've had it where I've been told what to feed my child and what I shouldn't. And I mean, like you said, as a mother, you doubt yourself, and it's a learning process because, you know, like I've mentioned before, like I had plants and they died. So I did question myself when I was pregnant because I was like, how am I going to keep them alive? Just because I give my son sausages doesn't mean like I'm killing him. Like, I understand the way, like I said to you guys before, if the advice was given to me as, you know, in a different manner, rather than telling me I'm doing this wrong, then I perhaps would take it differently. But when it's kind of thrown at me like, well, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And when this is my first child, like, you know, like, don't go on like you were born and you knew it all. You know, even the comments where like, oh, my child's talking, why is yours not? Because children do things differently. Like, no, we're not in a rush. Again, it goes down to competition. Every child does things in their own manner, and I don't need negative Nancy's telling me you know, my child's doing this, your child should be at that stage because, you know, they're similar ages.
And also,
and
you know what, let us find our feet in our situation. Again, it's the way that you're communicating these comments or the way you're discussing it with the person. Like, I would appreciate if someone said to me like, oh, you know, like when they're giving me their side of the story but in a less judgmental way. Like, for example, and you know, this, Erica, you were there the other day, my child, like, he hasn't been around kids in freaking 4 months because of this lockdown. What was the first thing he did? He went and bit Caden. And what was my response? Like, I wanted to slap his face so hard, but like, and I went for it, but then I stopped it because in my head I was like, oh my god, like, I remember saying I'm never gonna slap my child in the face because I find that disrespectful. Firstly, he's 1, like, he has no idea, he's just learning. So secondly, I don't think it's a very respectful thing to do to a baby or an adult or whoever, unless, you know, you're coming to me telling me you're cheating on me, then, you know, someone might get a slap in the face. But in that moment, it was like everything was happening so fast, and it put me in the spotlight, and I felt like the whole world was looking at me on how I was going to react to the situation. And hands down, I reacted in the worst way because I've never been in that situation, so I didn't know how to deal with it. But now it's like, okay, it happened twice, it happened 3 times. I think that weekend we saw each other like the whole weekend, and he bit every single kid around him. But then I started, like, in my own space, I started understanding, like, okay, this is a new phase, this is now we have to tackle this problem and talk about it within our household, so then when we're out, we're able to manage that. So it's like, again, when people are telling you, you know, your negative comments or your in-laws, it's like, maybe you're going through a situation that you've never been before. Maybe you're just learning, and you need to respect that we're just learning, and maybe support us on this journey rather than point fingers and make us feel like you're doing a shit job.
I think
I never
also,
did that.
like when we were talking on Friday for our friend's birthday, when Lelo did that, as his mothers, I was like to them, because obviously Jess is new at it, I even asked the girls, I was like, you know, like, it's not that you're overreacting, but I was like, it's just, you know, they're kids, they're gonna, you know, throw tantrums, it's a normal thing, like, we've all been through it. And then the other girls would share, you know, oh, my kid did this, and how they handled each situation, but they weren't throwing comments at, like, well, you should do this and you have to do that kind of thing, or you're doing it wrong. No one was really saying that. We were just all kind of like, you know, well, my kid did this, and
they're like, oh, it happened.
Yeah, like, just kind of like, it's just a phase, it's just gonna go away soon. Like, not to work ourselves up, because again, like that Jess says, it's a very stressful situation where maybe, like, say, like, Leo went to a play group and bit a kid that he doesn't know, the parent might, you know, react differently, as where I kind of was like chilled back and just laughed about it because, you know, Caden's done it too. But yeah, I think it's the way we say things. It's definitely that.
Right. Feeding my child things without asking, what if they have an allergy?
I think for this one, it's communication again. Because
but what if they don't care?
But then that's when they don't respect you as a person. Because if I tell you,
what if they
I don't want my child to have certain things, and you go and do it, then clearly they're doing it to dig at you. Kind of like, I don't care what your view is. Yeah. It's like, I'm on top of you because I'm older.
And like, I fed you guys this, so nothing's going to happen to your child.
They feel like they have some sort of authority over your kid.
I think this one gets another punch in the face.
I think you're right, actually, about the respect. You would kind of assume, you know, if you tell someone, actually, please, you know, don't give that to my child for whatever reason. Actually, you don't even need to tell the reason, just don't give it to them. And they don't. Yeah. Yeah, probably definitely. A little problem there. And the allergy is actually a good point, because you don't know, and it goes to the question about other children. Yeah. You know, even if it's not the grandparents. If you're like in a party or whatever, and you know, you think about giving something to someone, maybe ask the parents first. And I think we've all been guilty of just grabbing like a sweet or whatever and just giving it to the child, and then maybe not thinking much about it. But what if that child actually does have an allergy to whatever you've just tried to give them, and you
I
didn't
think
know.
as a parent, if your child did have an allergy, you'd be more vigilant in what they're eating, and you would express it. Because I remember I had a friend that whenever she made parties, one of her friends that would go there, she would always be very, my son has a nut allergy. Like he will smell the nut from the door and he will like literally swell up. So she couldn't include no nuts. And this was something like, if I knew my son had a really bad allergy, this is something I will be very clear about, I think because none of us are on that boat, it doesn't really apply to us. Because yes, it is a thing where, what if a parent does this, and what if they, you just hand. But even in a party, if a stranger's giving my child a sweet, I would look at them and be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Because if you knew me, I would say you would kind of have some background information on my children, on what they like and what they don't like. But yeah, it's true. Like, you should always ask. Even if you're like friends, like us, we always ask, can we give them this? Can we do that?
Even if you know that they're going to say yes.
And kids are naturally, if one kid has a sweet, the other kid's going to want to have it. That's why whenever we go out, we take like 7 of each, because we know we have to repartir equally.
And especially when they start saying, it's mine, and the other one's like, no, it's mine, and then they're fighting over it, and you're like, well, just go deal with it yourselves.
I think this goes hand in hand with the next one. It's taking my authority away in my presence.
I find that disrespectful.
Very. I hate it.
Very disrespectful. I think there's that line. We were saying before, Erica, you were saying that maybe you're still seen as a child, but the reality is not that, and you are the child's mum or dad or whatever. And I think that should always be, you should always remember that and know not to overstep that limit.
Some grandparents think they do have a right. I for one have a big issue. Both Ollie's dad and my dad are very, 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 very like loving with the children, but to the point that they could literally climb on their head and they won't say anything. And it's like sometimes the boys are hurting them, and it's just kind of like brushed off, and I'm there telling them off and they're rewarding them, and it literally, oh my god, it boils my blood, because I'm telling them off for a reason, and you're like, sometimes they literally brush it off and they're like, don't pay attention to them, come to el abuelo.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like, what? And another thing is, when I'm disciplining my kids, one issue I've had is my dad gets really angry, and we've had arguments because he literally gets up from whatever situation we're in. We could be in a party, and if I tell my kids off, he will get up and go home. So it's like I'm in a bubble, like, so I can't tell my kids off. And he's like, I don't hit my kids, but I'm firm with them, so they have to listen to me. When I say something, it's that. And there was a time where, like, Joel will kind of look at my dad to see if he'll say anything. And that was kind of like, what's he going to say to me? I'm your mum. But then you see how much that affects them, because he's like, well, I can look at my abuelo and, he's your dad. And he once even said it to me. He was like, but he's your dad and he can tell you off, mummy. And I was like, can he? Well, let's go home and see who's going to beat you up.
Do I have mug written on my forehead?
Yeah, and like both, like hand in hand, Ollie as well. Like whenever if my parents are here and Ollie, God forbid, tells the kids off, the looks he gets, if looks could kill, boy. And I think it kind of makes you uncomfortable, because you're in your home, you're trying to discipline your kids in the way you think is best. Like, I mean, if you look back to how my mom used to beat the shit out of me, I didn't touch my kids, and I had a way of disciplining Joel where I would tell him that he wouldn't be allowed to talk to me. And my mom would literally cry. Yes, that's how dramatic she would cry, and she would tell me that I'm humiliated.
I can't even.
Humiliated him.
Humillando.
Humiliating.
And if you,
I was humiliated.
Humiliating.
Eso.
Humiliating.
Oh, we're so fresh, gosh. Yes,
Humiliating.
I was humiliating him. And I was like, how, Mum? I'm simply telling him if he's being rude to me, he should get my attention by knowing he done something wrong. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, baby, well done, you just slapped me in my face. No, it doesn't go like that. Like, would you and I even said it to her once, and I was like, would you prefer me to beat the shit out of him? And she was like, no, eso no se hace. You did it to me, babe. But it's kind of like, it's not black and white with them anymore, because it's kind of like, well, you can't do that to them, but who are you? Yes, you're the grandparents, but I'm the authority here. When you were telling me off and trying to kill me, no one said anything to you.
And I think as well, let's say in scenarios where, let's say your partner is disciplining your child, and then your parents are the ones trying to like give, like you were saying, give the evil eye or whatever. I think it's probably as well your responsibility to kind of rein them in and be like, you had no right to try and do that. Like, I understand that you have different views and opinions on doing things, but these are our children, and you, by doing that, are being disrespectful. Sometimes people won't get it, but I think you have an obligation to kind of put it out there.
100%.
Because sometimes it's easier coming from their own kid, kind of, because I've had scenarios like that. My dad can sometimes be a bit difficult.
Push the wrong buttons.
Yeah, and I know it's not intentionally, and with bad, they don't do it out of a bad place, but I know that it can come across not the best way sometimes. So I feel like it's my obligation to sometimes rein my dad in and be like, look, Dad, I don't appreciate when you do these certain things. Try and understand it from my angle. I would respect if you kind of took a step back in these areas, like kind of remind him that, we respect you, but you also need to respect us, and we are our child's parent.
Yeah.
That infuriates me. Like, I know this is a little bit off, but so Jay's dad loves giving Stitch food, and I hate it because it makes Stitch feel like every time you sit down with food, you're gonna give him some. So when he's been there for the weekend, the way this dog comes back spoiled, or I'll say to him, oh, please don't give him that, because I know that will make Stitch so gassy, and we're the ones that are having to deal with his stinky farts. He's still like, as soon as we look away, he feeds it to, and I know it's just a dog, but it just makes me think, what about when it's my son? And it's like rude, it's like, I've just told you, don't. Why, again, do I have mug written on my forehead?
And it also goes hand in hand with, when your child asks for a certain object or, sweet, whatever, and you say no, and then the grandparent goes to buy it. Or even the parent, like, because children can play you sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, no, you can't have them crisp, and then they go over, Mommy said I can't have the crisp. And I get it. It can happen even with grandparents, because, maybe the love that they couldn't give us because they were working all the time, and now they're much older and have more time to give. Now they want all that, to dedicate that time to our children. Grandparents are there to spoil, no?
Puppy.
Good girl.
Saying my kid is fat and telling them look at your belly, is she alright? I want to box her. I am very against. I think harm and pain can be inflicted a lot by words, and probably sometimes even worse than when someone retaliates by an action, because types of words like that can really scar you. And I'm sure every single one of us have had scenarios or things said to us that have stuck with us forever.
A guy once in college said that I had a beard, so I've been shaving it off since.
But no, seriously, I'm very against things like that, and I think it's quite harmful, and it's not a good thing to ever kind of inflict on a child, especially.
I think it just damages their self-esteem, right?
Yeah, exactly. And especially as a child, they're developing and they're forever changing, and emotions and all of that, you have to nurture them. And I think we always joke around like plants. Sometimes children, you need to love and care them in a way and protect them, and things like that can be very harmful.
Agreed.
such comments, if you actually feel concerned about the weight of the child, in the nicest possible way, you can address it with the parent, not the child again, because it's causing the trauma. It's changing the child's personality. They're too young for, to understand, or you don't know how they are going to digest this comment.
But why is it their business? If I went to you, Jess, I think Lil's really fat.
It's insensitive.
What are you going to say to that? So basically, it's me judging you in the way you're giving your child food. Like, everyone does things differently. What if my child, like we've always established, and this conversation we had with Joanne previously, everyone is not, skinny boned. Like, there's going to be big boned people that just because, there's people that are skinny and they can eat tons and they won't get fat. And there's people that eat a little bit and it's just, the metabolism that they have, it's just different. We're all built different. So me as a parent doesn't give me the right to go up to you or Melissa or anyone and say, oh, your child's a bit too fat, or like, your child's really skinny. Are you sure you're feeding them right? There is no way I can approach you in saying, well, your child's a bit fat. Like, what are you going to do about it? So like, I can understand what you're saying. Like, maybe go to the parent, but even the parent, it's going to be offensive, because if I know my child's obese, I know, and I will deal with it. Like, it's no secret. If I see that my child's size 100, I'm not blind. Like, I will obviously see it. But what if my child has an issue that I don't want to tell you?
And also, the stress you're going through, thinking, oh my God, he is actually overweight. Let's say if that was, the situation. You're the one that's been stressing about it. You're the one that's been trying to deal with it. Maybe you've already got the child on a, child-friendly diet. You're watching everything he's having, and now I don't need you to be pointing things out that are obvious.
Exactly.
Or even if they're not obvious, like maybe, like you said, like the metabolism. And also, what if my child is not fat and you think they're fat?
It's your perception, or your insecurity.
Yeah, like what the hell? Do you know what? Like, you guys have seen Lelo the past few weeks. He is really skinny at the moment. Like, he went through a whole month without eating absolutely anything, and I didn't realize it was his molar that was coming through. The time that Jay's parents saw him and my parents saw him, the first thing they said was, oh my God, he is so skinny. Are you not feeding him? And it's like, first of all, I know he's skinny.
Maybe it's just the way he is.
Yeah, and it's like, look at your son. He's one to eat everything, and look how skinny he is.
Exactly.
But it's just like, what I'm saying is that it makes you stress out even more when you know that it's the obvious, or if you've already been trying to deal with it at home. I don't need you to point it out.
And another thing, with like child dieting and stuff here, say like you do have a overweight child and you are trying to control the portions, how do you tell your child you can't have that?
A lot of control. As
a parent, it's going to be really hard. So again, another person telling you, well, you should watch what child is eating, is already questioning your parenting. Yeah. So again, we need to put ourselves in those parents' shoes, that their child's maybe have, gone a bit over the weight that there should be. Taking away that back is hard as well. So anyway,
it's not an easy switch.
Exactly, it's not. As a grown up, it's hard for us. Imagine for a child.
Mama, I love you.
My mother-in-law thinks we are baby making factory and keeps pushing me to do the deeds. To be honest, I feel like every grandparent is like that. Like, we get it thrown right, left and centre.
Like, are they not happy with the grandchild they have?
It's a bit sad, isn't it? But again, you can see it as in,
they want more because they love them so much. They want
more, yeah. So they just want to be filled with so many babies running around.
What about your own children? Like, what about me? What about my mental health? Like, and also, like, all right, so this is my partner that sent this in. On Saturday, we've gone to a barbecue. Looked cute, and we went past hers for a minute, and she literally was like, oh my God, look at you, how sexy. You're going to make me some more grandchildren today. You're going to slide in there. Oh. I was looking at her like, wow, like, okay. So, like, save yourself the comment. And, like, Jay obviously, like, giggled away, and he was just like, oh, like, kind of, like, brushing it off, because it's like, we get it so constant. It's like, before you were telling me not to have sex, and now you're telling me to go have sex and have babies. Like, what if I don't want to have any more babies?
It's not just that, but it's seeing the wider picture, to me anyways. Like, you don't know what state I am economically. You don't know if I'm trying but it's not happening. You don't know if I'm mentally there. What if my child is like really difficult at the moment? Like, say with you and Leo, like, imagine you're going through like a rough patch with him because you're learning all these new things. Who's going to want to rush into another baby like that?
And at that moment, you can't think of anything.
And having that peer pressure, like, you know, I want more. Yeah, like, I'm trying to learn. Like, let me just, you know, be just me and my baby here. I think it's just a lot of pressure, but I think it's a common question because I know Fish gets it thrown. I get it thrown like left, right. And I've got 2. And everyone's like, when's the next one? You're going to give me money for the next one.
And it's like, I know that it's not a negative comment. Like, I know she means it out of no harm or anything. Like, you know, like you said, it's so common in our families. But it's just like, all right, give it a break. Like, I want to, like, I've made it very clear to my parents that I really want to enjoy Leo being him, like, just us and him for a couple years. And obviously, if things happen in that time, then so be it.
Or what about like comments when people be like, oh, well, you've kind of left it too late now. It's like, didn't know I was going on someone else's watch.
Also, I didn't know I was going to have another child.
Yeah, because that's always something. It's like, oh, everyone will give their advice on how often or how quickly you should be doing certain things. So it's like, you know, the clock's ticking, you know, you're going to be left behind. It's going to be too late. And then
it's a very sensitive topic, to be honest.
It is.
When they think you don't have common sense.
Yeah.
I hate this so much. Let me tell you something. It's been very hot these past few weeks, yeah. I sent my dad a picture of Leo at the beach. He called me. It's so hot for him. I hope you're putting SPF on him. Make sure you... No, Dad, I'm not just going to put my son out there in the sun in no shade and just, oh, give him some water. Dad, of course I need to hydrate him. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like, it's common sense. If we put SPF on ourselves, or like we've had, you know, either side of the family be like, oh, it's a bit chilly, make sure you put a coat on them. Don't leave without a coat.
Like, really? Do I have to do that?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
I know it's out of love. It's definitely like Grizz was saying, the fact that they see you as a child and they see you, like, they want to make sure you're doing it well, so they want to support you in saying, oh, remember you need to do this. But sometimes it's just like, I know, Dad, I know I need to feed my child, or I know that it's raining and he has to wear clothes. Like, I just think it's really irritating. It's just really irritating. But they mean well. They mean well.
They do. Okay, next one. Comparisons like, oh, my son walked. Yes, of course he did.
Well done, babe. I just think, you know, again, it's not in a bad place, but I sometimes, for one, like when like my kids get compared to their dad, I'm like, he's not that great, you know.
Would you like me to point out some flaws?
Yeah, literally, and all he's staring at me like, what a bitch.
Do you know what? We need to be grateful that our nowadays technology is great with timestamp.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't remember my dad once, we were in a gathering, and he said how when he was like 2, he was eating Kellogg's, and everyone was like, really? And I was like, me, the youngest one, I was like, Dad, was Kellogg's even invented like when you were born? And he was like, no. Everyone was oblivious to it. Like, how is a 2-year-old going to be sitting there? My dad's 60. How is he going to sit there eating Kellogg's 60 years ago? Mate, you were probably having frijoles for breakfast. Don't come here chicanear about you had Kellogg's. And it's shit like that. Like, oh yes, my son had that at that age. No, he didn't. Stop lying. You don't remember what you gave your child.
Yeah, I think it's probably not a good thing to compare anything in any aspect in life anyway, so. And
it's, you know, when mums are really precise with it. Like, my mum the other day, she loves putting me like on top of the world, and one lady was like, oh yeah, my daughter stopped the potty, she didn't pee herself and stuff when she was like 2, and my mum was like, oh, Erica stopped at 13 months, and I was like, Right, Mum, it's not a competition, you know. I clean myself now and we got that clear, but calm down. In my grown age, and you still remember that I stopped peeing and pooing myself at 13 months, not even one, like, no. Soon she said I started talking at like 24 months and then, you know, I cooked at 47 months. Had my first wine of glass at 127 months. God knows what else my mum's going to invent, to be honest.
Let's move on. Telling me what to feed my kids and what times, and to not force them to eat.
I feel like this is something like about caring so much. I don't know if your parents ever said to you, oh, it's 10 p.m, you shouldn't be eating so late because you get indigestion.
Did your parents ever tell you that if you ate and went to have a bath, you could probably, like, something really bad could happen to you? My mum would always say that to me.
Yeah, or like you can't go swimming right after you
No,
eat.
I understand that because you're floating, but I'm not going to be able to drown in my bathtub.
Because you have to reposar.
Yeah, porque algo me va a pasar, en que yo no sé qué, and I'm just like sitting there like, what could possibly, well, shit myself in the bath. That's like big major, but what else could happen to me? And even now, like, I eat and I can't bath straight away because I'm like,
what if
it
What's
happens?
gonna happen to me?
Literally.
I just think this is just generally like wanting the best for their grandchildren, and it just comes across like a frustrating comment because we're just like, oh, like you hear it so much and you hear it in so many different ways that you're just sick and tired of hearing it.
Again, it goes down to what we've said before. It's how they're saying it, and maybe if you find it annoying, perhaps it's best you kind of reach out and tell them, you know, maybe say it like this, or kind of like meet them halfway.
Daddy, I love you.
Ultimately, everything we've spoken about, we all kind of agree that, you know, not everything is done negatively. And I think for the most part, sometimes because we're caught up doing so many things at one time and trying to not get anything wrong, we take things bad. And sometimes because of that lack of communication as well, we keep piling one comment on top of the next comment, and it just becomes very frustrating for us. But I mean, we just kind of have to sometimes level with our in-laws and put ourselves in their shoes and maybe question why they're doing certain things. Also realize that you, as a mother, as a father, are going to be in them that exact same shoes when your children come and are taken away from you. You're going to be in the same boat, and, you know, you're going to be the in-laws now. So, you know, kind of like level and see how you would want to be treated. And that's the same level of treatment you should be giving your in-laws. Regardless if you like them or not, it's your partner's baggage that you have to accept. And it's just basically, you know, trying to live in harmony and peace. Because at the end of the day, the only important thing here is, you know, having a good family to bounce off of. There's nothing best than having a close family circle.
And I think also, like, just as a golden tip, I think it's learning to pick your battles as well. And not frustrating yourself into all the comments.
And our children are a reflection of ourselves. So if they see that we're constantly, you know, at war with different people, they're just going to live that same journey. And that's not good. That's not a way to live, you know, kind of like peace and love.
I mean, if the girl with the voodoo doll managed to live on, then
forgive her mother-in-law. We can definitely forgive them.
Mama's Code out. Mwah.
Mama's Code.
Do you think it was a pretty doll?